This is Elaine Williams, founder of Captivate the Crowd, and you're listening to Chasing Dreams with Amy J.
Welcome to Chasing Dreams podcast with Amy J. Amy believes that realizing a life without regrets is achieved by taking chances, chasing your dreams, making moves, and overcoming your doubts. The Chasing Dreams podcast will help you overcome life's obstacles, believe in your potential, and inspire you to face your fears. And now here's the woman who is passionately pursuing her dreams, Amy J.
Hey Dream Chasers, this is Amy J, and thank you so much for tuning in to episode 182 of Chasing Dreams. Before I get too far, here's a word from our sponsors. This episode is sponsored by our Patreon campaign supporters. Thanks to all of you for your support. Beginning January 2019, as a thank you, Patreon supporters will have exclusive initial access to a bonus video conversation with our guests. Even donating $1 an episode goes a long way. For more information on our Patreon campaign or if you'd like to donate to help keep the show going, please visit amyj21.com/Patreon. Now, guys, this next guest is no newcomer to the show. She was last on the show in episode 97 about a year and a half ago. It was June 28th, 2017 that she was on the show. And, I couldn't think of a better person to kick off Women's History Month than Elaine Williams. Elaine has helped hundreds of people with confidence on camera and public speaking, whether it's 5 people or 5,000. She uses her 40 plus years of professional performing TV appearances on SNL, America's Got Talent, HBO, plus 2 degrees in drama to train her students and clients for their own media appearances. And spots are filling up for her next training program, Captivate the Crowd. And, I just wanted to check in and see how she's doing. And she's doing well. Yeah. Check it out for yourselves, guys. Here it is. Hey, Elaine, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for having me.
So you were like episode 97, which is almost, but not quite, just short of like 100 episodes ago. So it's been a bit. It's been a bit since we last talked.
Yes, ma'am, it has.
Now, before when we talked, you were working on Captivate the Crowd. You were encouraging our dream chasers, our listeners, to give themselves permission to dream and to move forward and follow that. And you were sharing how important it is to share your story, your message. What's happened since then? Still working on Captivate the Crowd? What's going on?
Right on. All of the above and more. I just got back from Cleveland and Chicago, and one of my favorite clients of all time met me for coffee, and we were like, boo, because, we were catching up. And, she's a great example to me of this woman was a partner for Deloitte. She ran entire divisions in India. She traveled the world with her infant son and her husband. They had just had their baby when she got the opportunity to go to India. Anyway, a background in theater. But when she got in front of the camera, she was like stiff or just sort of forced.
Kind of froze up?
She just wasn't like her natural self. There was just something like she just got tense, and she kind of put on like this facade that we, sometimes we all have when we're put into new situations, right?
Sure.
I mean, the first tendencies when we feel scared or like we might be judged or we're in stranger danger, right?
Yeah.
The masks come up. So, she was struggling to make video, and so she took my course, and I just, I'm intuitive. I took her through my methodology. We did a couple of things, and within the second week, she was making videos. Her husband called me and said, "What'd you do? Oh my God, you helped her. She's finally being herself." Now she has a whole YouTube channel. Her son has a YouTube channel. Her husband is creating all this stuff. Like, they're doing all these cool things. Her coaching stuff is taken off. because she's being authentic and real.
So let me ask you, because it sounds like it wasn't that she was trying to be fake. It sounds like fear froze her up and forced her to be someone she wasn't. Like, is that something you commonly see with people?
Amy, honey child, I'm from Texas originally. I just got off the phone with my writing buddy, my comedy writing buddy, and we call each other on our stuff, and we're like, send me your comedy, because we send each other our stuff, and I feel like a lot of times people think, oh, someday then I'll have my confidence handled, right? Someday I'm going to lose those last 5 pounds, get back into the skinny, whatever that someday thing is, drive a Mercedes, have the, if you're waiting for the confidence fairy to just come, bring, you have to act your way into it. And this is kind of like the good news, bad news is that I still deal with confidence. I love teaching. I love coaching. I love performing. I love speaking. I've spoken in 41 states and 3 countries. But if Oprah Winfrey called me and said, I want you to be on my da-da-da tomorrow, I'd be like, oh my God. Like, we all have a visibility block. And the thing is, most people, we're human beings, our brains are designed to keep us safe, right?
Right.
Which is the anti of dreaming, is reaching and having the courage to step out from where we are, right? It's the most beautiful, brilliant thing we can do. And when we reach for our dreams, we give other people permission to do the same. Mm-hmm. And we have to, I constantly, not constantly, but often have this little voice. I call him my alien. I spent $1 million trying to get rid of this guy. And that goes, you're too old. What do you think you're doing?
Right.
You were funny yesterday. You're not going to be funny today. What are you doing? What do you,
Yeah.
And so I have learned from being professional speaker, performer, actress, singer, dancer, whatever, for 40 plus years. I'm not going to get rid of this voice, but I can teach you, because we all have one. Some of us have many.
And it comes in different forms, right?
I can teach you how to turn the volume down, how to manage this. Because this is what stops people. Oh, I didn't really like doing that. Oh, I'll whatever. We lie to ourselves. Oh, I'll just have one more piece of cake, or I'll go to that open mic next week.
Right.
Or I wasn't really committed to that. And our little light, our little heart, our inner child goes, but that, and it's quieter than the critic, right? And so I teach my clients like how to navigate the critic, and how to, I meditate, I pray, I work out, I sweat really hard. The higher the stakes, the more I do to manage myself. I get ready, do my hair and makeup, and then I don't look in the mirror, because I want to come from the inside out.
Right. You want to be authentic.
And if I'm focused too much on how I look,
then
I'm not connected with my heart and my why. And so that's what I try to teach my students and the people I work with, coming from the inside out.
So there's a few things that you said that I want to touch on. One, the fact that you're a veteran. It's safe to say you're a veteran and you still go through this. Is this something that just doesn't go away, that we just need to kind of acknowledge? One, it doesn't go away, and we have to address it through techniques that you teach, and just through acknowledging it, that it's there. Is that safe to say it won't go away fully? Well,
a couple of things. I was touring with a headlining comic for several years, and it was so awesome and challenging, because he could wake a crowd up, he could calm them down. He was a master, and he'd been doing it for 20 years, and I've been doing it for a couple at the time. And so you can't help but do a little bit of compare despair. But, he was jealous because he didn't get nervous anymore. And he could feel it when I would get nervous. Now, this is relating to comedy. Now, I believe when you're speaking, if you're really prepared, if you have done your homework, you know your audience,
right?
You know what the booker wants, and you have talked about expectations and pretty
Sure.
much given your you've said, I'm going to do this, this, and this. There's going to be some humor, but it's going to be safe. There's going to be slides or not. There's going to be this or not. If you have prepared, then you are going to be way less likely to be nervous. To me, the flop sweat, which used to be, from the old comedians in vaudeville, that comes when you're winging it, because ideally you have really prepared. And, that again, amateurs, we wait till they've got to be in the zone to write. They've got to be in the zone, got to be inspired. Well, if you wait to really, that's not happening.
It doesn't
work.
work.
I teach people how to do things in chunks so that it's actually fun. And sometimes once they get started, they're like, oh my God, I couldn't stop. And they get excited. And then I teach people how to rehearse so that it's actually a joy to prepare instead of like an all night of hell.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
And then it's actually like, I love it when I feel prepared, grounded, and rested. I'm like chomping at the bit. Like, I can't wait to get at them. That doesn't mean it's going to be perfect,
Yeah.
So I think there's always going to be some level of nerves.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things you can do to manage it. And you want there to be a little bit of nerve. If you're not scared, it means you don't care or you're detached or you're checked out.
Well, it's interesting you say that before I get to the second point, because I feel when I speak publicly, I'm always going to have that bottom line, literal level of nerves. I was speaking last summer in, where were we? Philadelphia. And I just had nervous energy. And I think I've learned to accept that as just a natural part of my process. But I think we just kind of go through it. But that's it. It's interesting to see that even veterans have some level of that. I'm still new to the public speaking, so I thought it was just that. But
no, it's so great, Amy, and learning how to manage that and yourself. That's one of the distinctions of pro.
Yeah.
And maybe when you've done 10,000 speeches or whatever, you might not be, but I welcome that excitement.
Yeah.
I remember running around New York City auditioning for commercials and theater and movies and TV, and I would be so tired.
Yeah.
But I knew like when I would like, the adrenaline would kick in, and then I was like, okay, and sometimes the minute I would come out of the room, I'd be like, oh my God, I have to get some sleep tonight, because I pushing.
So the other point that you made that I thought was amazing was when you achieve your dreams, when you're living them in front of others, right? And you said, it can influence and give permission to others to do the same. You talked about a client and how she kind of in the second week not got over herself, but she conquered her fear, became her authentic self. And now she has a YouTube channel. Her son has a YouTube channel. Her husband is now doing stuff. Like, is that an example of that kind of an effect of what living your dream can be?
Yeah.
Wow.
And and I think one of the biggest, I'm a huge fan of structure, which is hilarious because I'm such a creative.
Right.
And from business and lots of things, I realized that the more structured I am with certain things, the more freedom and creativity I can then have within that. And so one of the things that I think is so important, and I'm sure you do with an aspect of this, is, some form of celebrating your wins. And this is a tip for anybody who's listening. If you want to become a speaker, a comic, some kind of performer, any kind of creative thing, one of the most important things I did was I would journal, and I'm talking handwrite, old school, pen and paper, after every show, after every set, after every speech, whether it was 2 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, I would journal just quickly, the date, what it was, and like, I'm really proud of 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I would list 3 things that worked, that I was happy about. And it could be like, I remembered to breathe. I remembered to bring water with me on stage. I only said X amount of times, which whatever, you know.
It is what it is, right?
And then I would say, this is what I can do better. And I would list a couple of things that I really want to tweak the end. I need to change that last quote. I want to have my outline printed out because if the PowerPoint freezes, I don't want to have flop sweat so that when people come up to hug me,
right?
You know, whatever it is. I'm signing autographs and I need to have an extra pen because
things
my
that
pen
you remember,
ran out.
right?
Like, because otherwise it's just a blur. And it is like worth the 5 minutes that it takes you is worth exponentially. You will grow so much from like celebrating the wins and then saying, what can I do better? But also noting, what did I do before? Oh my God, I just did the best talk. What did I do before? Oh, I avoided the news. I didn't pick up when my mother called.
Right.
I meditated for 20 minutes. I worked out really hard to get grounded in my body. I did my warm-up exercises. I did my breathing.
Sure.
Whatever. And that way you can seal it in.
That's some great advice just in general, not just for speakers, but, you know, people who are chasing their dreams just to kind of recount what's working. I mean,
yes.
Right. Isn't that what people who do presentations usually have, or projects or events, come back and kind of debrief? It sounds like what you're kind of doing is a debrief, but I never even thought like having a journal and seeing your growth through that.
And, you know, if you hate journaling and, you know, you can type it out, but they've done more and more research that hand to pen, it helps get in your body. There's more of an emotional connection. There's a physical thing, and it's actually attributed to active learning. And so I'm just all about like maximize the time and energy you're spending.
You know, that's really cool because I started journaling this year, or at least I have a planner that I'm using to kind of gather my thoughts and keep things going as I'm moving forward. And so, you know, I find that I am more focused, and it was just funny. It is the focus planner, but I am more focused when I look at this thing because it asks me what worked, what didn't work, what do you want to do better? And it's not like something I actually look forward to breaking the day down.
Right.
Which is weird because I never thought I would do that, but it is.
And again, this can take 5 minutes, you know, but it's just a great habit to go what worked, what didn't. And, you know, we all think, oh, Chris Rock just gets up there and spouts his stuff, but he's been crafting that. He has a team of writers, and I can guarantee you he's going, oh, that worked, that didn't, let me try this, you know, when they're working stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think I just heard that, I can't remember which comic just recently went back to the comedy clubs to practice new material.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you got to keep working your craft.
Well, I think, and I love that because speaking, there is mastery and a craft to it. And I think we trip ourselves up like, I should be good at this.
Yeah.
Really? Speaking in normal life is a completely different thing than speaking on camera or on a stage, whether you're speaking for 5 people or 5,000. Very different.
Yeah.
And so, you know, when we put pressure on ourselves, we're not serving anybody, you know, and I love to say perfect isn't helping anybody. You know, of course you want to be credible. Of course you want to have good content and deliver value.
Yeah.
But if you're waiting to be perfect, you're never going to get on stage or whatever it is that you're chasing, your dream, you know?
Absolutely. Now you've worked with probably so many more students since we last talked.
Yes.
Previously, you know, we were talking about using their story and the importance of talking their message. What other things are you finding now that you've had more students and you've had more data, so to speak, to kind of look at this and see what is it you're finding is holding people back more, or is it only fear?
Well, you know, that's such a profound question. And fear is like, it can come in so many forms, Amy. You know, I'm in recovery for lots of things, for addictions, and it's such an insidious, and, you know, it makes me think of like the fog in the dance floor when it just all of a sudden you look down and it's sort of
and how it envelops you.
And that to me, like there's a million forms of fear or compare despair. We live at the best of times and the worst of times, right? We have more information at our fingertips than ever in the history of the world.
Option
we
paralysis.
are seeing more images coming at us than our grandparents saw in a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason people are depressed and anxious, because I personally don't think our brains were designed. So that's one reason I I preach, stepping away from the screen, meditation, moving your body, sweating, and old school books.
Yeah.
But that's a whole one-woman show. But what I have found is that people get tripped up with a million kinds of fear and or limiting beliefs. Once again, that alien, right?
Yeah.
That says, well, there's already so many people talking about, what is your passion?
Imposter syndrome, right?
Oh, there's already that. That's a saturated market, right? Oh, there's so many video coaches. Oh, there's so many motivational speakers.
Yes.
Right? And there's a million reasons to not take action towards your dream, right?
Yeah.
A million. And so I find that I help people, when we're working together, work on that. I find that a lot of people get tripped up with focus. And, in the entrepreneurship world, we call it the bright, shiny penny. And I know that I can get caught up. As a coach, most coaches, we love to say yes to people. We love to support other people. We're like, yeah, I'll help you with your thing. We'll raise money for polar bears in China. Well, yeah. And before I know it, I am so overcommitted.
Yes.
And so strung out and spread out. And then I'm not good for anybody, much less my clients or myself, right?
Yeah.
And so, I find that sometimes people want to talk about so many things. So a lot of times I feel like I'm helping bring people back and giving themselves permission. Here's that word again, the phrase again, of being really authentic. I would rather work with 8 or 10 really committed people who vibe with me and who are ready to do deep work than 100 people who are sort of like tire kickers that are like, is this the next cool thing? I don't know. We'll see. I've been in communities like that. And for me, I don't thrive in that. It's not my vibe. I've tried. And I think that's been one of my lessons this past year of like navigating who I want to work with and where I can, meet with those kinds of people. And it takes courage. It takes courage to go deeper.
It's interesting when you talk about different fears, because I recently, and as of this, it's the beginning of March that we're talking about this. Middle of March, we're going to be doing a fundraiser for the podcast and the things that we're doing. And in preparation for that, I can't tell you the number of fears that have just hit me overnight, will paralyze me even at the end of the night as I'm in bed saying, who am I to do this? Just yesterday alone, I hit imposter syndrome. I hit fear of disappointment. I hit fear of, nobody's going to show up. It was just one after another. And, this year, my theme for the year, I tend to have them, is embrace your fears. And I was thinking yesterday as I'm sitting about this and I'm like, moving forward, I'm going to do it. And I'm still like, embracing your fears is not as easy as we could say it, right? We're just going to embrace our fears and do it anyway. And I'm doing it anyway. But that facing the fear and holding it and acknowledging it and just, talking about the little alien on our shoulder, how do you make friends with it?
Yeah.
To make it easier to move so that you can at least sleep easier at night.
Well, that's why we have, accountability buddies, coaches, colleagues. We have social media now, which is so exciting, and it can be so daunting if we allow it, right? It's a tool. And, I was home visiting and I said to my nephew, did you guys do any of those? Did you do any fundraisers or protests about the guns at school? And he goes, well, yeah, but it was really small and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, who cares? Like, you did it. I didn't have the gumption to do that at your age. I mean, I was, I was in a very different family. Everybody was drunk, whatever. But like he did this courageous, heroic act. And he was just like, oh,
He was downplaying it.
And I feel like, and that's why I talk about this with people I work with. You got to keep connected to your why, Amy. It's not even about you.
Right.
Right?
It's true. It's true.
Because if we just make it about like, oh, I need to get a new client so I can pay my heating bill and I should just go back to slinging steak or jokes and, or whatever. But like, when I think about my why is to use my story for good, to help heal the world with more love, light, and laughter, to give people permission to heal, because the more we heal ourselves and each other, the more we can help heal the world, which is in crisis. Whatever your beliefs are about the environment or whatever, there are so many people in pain.
Yeah.
There's so much going on, right? And so when I can get connected with that vision, it really helps me step through that.
Yeah, that's
you're
there.
Old, you're short, you're this, you're that, you're that. It's like the wolf that, like, I can focus on, you know what? I'm old by comedian standards and by motivational speak. I don't even know all the stats, but I also know my commitment to use my life for good, to use my time on this earth. And when I can get tapped into that vision and coming from that place in my heart and my gut, I don't give a shit anymore. And I've had a mentor help me with this whole cyberbully thing. That's actually a sign of that boldness. Like, if you're getting critics, it's actually a good sign, and to embrace that. And so, I know it's easy, especially if you do a lot of things from love and you're big-hearted. When money comes up, it's easy to feel like, but just, I know to be reminded, like, it's not even about you.
Right.
And like, when I go to colleges and I say, this information is simple, but it could save your life or somebody else's. And I feel the same way about speaking, about being funny, and about being motivating, because you never know. Suicide is crazy popular right now with teen. Yeah. Like, I don't even I can't even think about it because I get like but like, it is a privilege and an honor every time I get to be on a screen or a stage in front of people. I truly believe that. And that's why one reason I try to be prepared and focused. And I like to be a little nervous because it is an honor every time, right? And you never know who's going to see you or hear you. And you might be saying the exact thing that they need to hear at that moment. Like, you never know. I know that I stopped some suicides when I was touring on the college campuses. I know I took kids to Al-Anon meetings. I know that I was calling people, the school bookers saying, you have to find this kid in this, I don't understand what's happening, but I want you to go check them out, but don't take the police. Like, colleges are they're better now, but like, there's so much happening with people and you just never know. And so when I can tap into that, it's so much bigger.
Sure.
Than my little considerations, Well,
it goes back to what you were saying about how sharing your story, living your life truly, authentically, and chasing your dream. Not that you have to do it publicly, but when you do it publicly, it inspires others. And, that truly is something that helps me and my why for continuing to share stories so it can inspire others, like what you're doing, your story, and how you've kind of come out to share your horror in honesty and authenticity, and has related to those who have also suffered in silence probably, and is like, hey, there's someone who's living truly authentically. She suffered like I did, and she's okay. I too can be okay. It's amazing the power of that. And you're right, though. We don't always know everybody that we're affecting. Everybody doesn't go out and say, hey, thank you. But, the ones we do hear about, it's amazing how probably like,
right.
Cool. Great. Yeah, that's amazing. It's a great feeling for it. And it's not, we're just conduits of it. We are.
And I love, people have said, Elaine, you're a healer. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what that means. But I know the power of speaking your story. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at the Me Too movement, right? Yeah. I was talking about this stuff 10 years before, but I'm so happy that all these people have now had the courage and the space to come out and say it. Mm-hmm. And that now it is shifting our culture. And there's all kinds of new legislation and standard operation procedures and all that stuff that's needed to happen for a long time. And we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
But just being able to speak, of a traumatic event and know that you're not carrying it all by yourself, the shame and all that stuff can be so healing. Now, I'm not a big fan of wallowing, but I am a fan of, speaking it so that you can let it come out to be healed and then moving on from it, and I get everybody has a process, there's different traumas, and I'm not trained in all of that, but there is so much power in the spoken word.
Yeah.
Well,
and to that effect, right? I mean, something you said earlier is we're not going to be, social media has been a blessing and a curse, right?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right. One thing that social media shows is only majority positive things, but it's such a comparison despair. It's just drains on you with what you see because you're comparing, right? Like, look at them. And sometimes I think we forget, someone may be having the best time of their life climbing mountains, or let me use the example of just going on roller coasters and living life. And I'm like, man, I'm jealous of them. But truly, I'm not jealous of the fact that they're on a roller coaster. I'm not a fan of roller coasters. It's that they're living authentically and happy. And we process it differently, but we become envious for things that we aren't truly envious of. It's just.
Well, I think, Debbie Ford, I studied with Debbie Ford for 5 years, and she would talk about, why do we want these dreams? It's really the feelings we're pursuing.
Yes.
Why do we want the big house? Mm-hmm. I'm not materialistic. I want a feeling of security, comfort, home.
Yeah.
I don't actually want a big house. I would prefer traveling and having a small house, which I actually have I have a big house, but I have a part of it, Mm-hmm. But, I think in AA, they say, check your motives, your motives. And I think that's such a great way to and it's all about connecting with yourself and your core.
Yeah. Well, I think that we get so caught up in social media that we kind of forget the world isn't our audience. Our audience is who we're trying to impact, right? It's sometimes we think too big that we get lost and our message can get lost and we forget, or we get overwhelmed and another fear comes up, and we just have to kind of remind ourselves that, like you said, about how, who we speak to, we don't know how that message will resonate. We know that for the people who aren't our intended audience, they may not like it. They may ignore it, but that's fine. They're not our intended audience.
Right.
But the thing that I think that is powerful is the ripple effect our message has on people. For the people you've helped, the ones the ones you don't know, right? You've brought them back or stopped them from making a horrible mistake in suicide, or gotten help for people who are in need, right? And now they are here to share and continue their story with the world. And how many lives does that affect, right?
Right. Yeah. No, it's so true. And, I always say there's no make or break. I think a lot of people think, this could be my big break. And I think, ooh, there's already so much pressure.
Yes.
Like, I just tell myself this is one more gig. It's one more credit. It's like Sheryl Crow when she got this big, her big hit. They gave her like the newcomer award. And,
oh, yes.
in LA. And she was like, well, thank you. And I have been kicking around LA for 10 years prior to making it.
Right.
And I tell that story because, Oprah plugged along for a long time before she became the media mogul that she is.
She was in her 30s, right? I think she was in her 30s before she got her big break.
And it was still it was still a lot of schlepping, and it was not the best talk show in the beginning. I don't think,
But that's the thing, right? I mean, so many of us work, and we are like, I'm so tired of working, and don't realize. And I always say, Taraji P. Henson was 20 years in the industry before her big hit, so to speak. I mean, but she's like, I've been here. I've put in the work. How many people have put in the work? And there was like one hit wonders or overnight successes. It's never true. People are working. You're grinding.
And also, like, I think you also have to think, like, what is your end goal?
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, I just listened to Megan Mulaney's book with Rick Overton, Offerman. They're the cutest couple. She's on Will and Grace. He was on Parks and Rec.
Yes.
Oh my God. And they both, and they both did not make it big till their late 40s or 50s, which I'm like, yay. But, she was talking about how they both realized they wanted to do good work with people who were good at their job and who were kind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I really like that because I want the work. I mean, the money, it's coming. Yay. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. I've had the money come in the past and then it dries up. Like for me, it's been very up and down, but I want the work.
Yeah.
I love the work of it. And to me, a true master is always working on their craft. So I'm always working on my body, my spirit, my mind, my emotional state, and how can everything that I'm learning, how can I give this to my students and my clients as well? Because I consider myself a master, but I'm still a work in progress.
But that's the thing that's interesting about all of this is, when you say that, what is your end goal? It comes back to what is your why, right?
Yeah.
Right. Elaine, it's been so great to have you back on the show to just see that you're still chasing your dream. You're still affecting and helping so many people. Before I let you go, as always, I got to ask you, especially now that you've got a few more years under your belt in terms of chasing, what is something you would tell people to do? One action item you would tell dream chasers to take today?
I would tell them to get a buddy.
Get a buddy.
I would tell them, get an accountability buddy who's somebody that you trust and who you know, but who's not going to not call you on your stuff. And set up a weekly thing with them. It can be a 30-minute call, an hour-long Zoom, a coffee meeting. We're going to jog every Saturday morning, like whatever works for you and your schedule and your lifestyle. And, and talk about, how's it going? This was your dream to do X and Y by such and such. Are you still committed to that? And what are you doing about that? And I think that is one of the most important things to put in place for structure, because it's so easy to talk about things and vision them. I love doing that. And I do take action, but many times I've taken lots of action or in too many directions. There's nothing like having an accountability buddy to help hold you accountable and vice versa.
Absolutely. Well, that was fantastic. I love it. Thank you again for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Amy.
And guys, that was Elaine Williams. She's doing awesome. Really. That it's fantastic to see that she is still chasing her dreams and helping others do just the same. So you guys can learn more about Elaine over on the show notes page at amyj21.com/episode 182. That's episode 182. Now, guys, as I've said last week, there is a special announcement. I am hosting the 2019 Chasing Dreams Fundathon. It's going to take place Monday, March 18th through Thursday, March 21st. Now, as you've guessed, it is a fundraiser. I am trying to raise funds to help offset the costs and keep Chasing Dreams going for another year. I can't do it without your help. So that's what this thing is about. You know, this podcast has been a dream of mine. It is awesome. I love seeing it. I'm not doing it for the money, but I do need money to keep it going. Just the way of the world and how it is. So the idea for the Fundathon is to keep and raise money for a year so I don't have to ask you guys for money again in this year. We may have to do this all over again next year unless a sponsor comes forward. But until then, this is what we're doing. And so March 18th through the 21st, I'm going to have friends of the show, guests, come on. We're going to talk. We're going to have a good time. Logistics are still being planned. But for more information and to support the show, please visit our website over at amyj21.com/fundathon. That's FUNDATHON. All right. And share it with your friends. Share it with anyone. In fact, share the podcast with your friends. Shouldn't they be listening? Who doesn't want to be inspired? Am I right? All right, guys. Just wanted to share that information. It's coming up in about 12 days. So wanted to give you the heads up about that. But there it is. And that link will be in the show notes page in case you didn't catch it. So once again, amyj21.com/fundathon. All right, Dream Chasers, until next time, keep chasing.
Thank you so much for listening to Chasing Dreams. Amy would love to connect with you and hear all about your pursuit of chasing your dreams. Connect with her on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram via @ChasingDreamsHQ. Or you can find Amy on Twitter @AmyJ21. That's AIMEEJ21. Be sure to visit headquarters over at ChasingDreamsHQ.com for more inspiration, motivation, and resources to help with your own dream chase. We hope you'll join Amy next week, and until then, keep chasing.